It was a quiet Tuesday in early 2020. Markets were still pretending everything was fine. But in a Stanford research lab, a single AI model trained only on financial data that stopped in December 2019 did something no human economist could. It mapped the hidden web of hedge funds, ETFs, pensions, and shadow banks, then predicted, with eerie precision, exactly which assets would trigger fire sales, who would dump first, and how the panic would cascade when COVID slammed the brakes on the global economy. No headlines, no warnings from the Fed, just cold, graph transformer code seeing the crash before it happened. That was the prototype. Now imagine 2026. The prototypes have evolved into predictive data oracles, vast, living intelligence networks that don't guess the future. They calculate it. They ingest trillions of data points every second. Satellite feeds tracking container ships in real time. Social sentiment streams pulsing like a planetary heartbeat. Quantum-enhanced simulations running millions of economic scenarios faster than you can blink. And agentic AI swarms that don't just analyze, they negotiate with each other across borders and blockchains to cross-verify every signal. These oracles aren't crystal balls. They're the next evolution of intelligence itself, and they're about to hand humanity something we've never had before. A genuine early warning system for economic Armageddon and societal rupture, with accuracy that feels almost supernatural. Let me show you how they work. First, they don't look at the world the way we do. Traditional economists stare at spreadsheets and lagging indicators, GDP prints that arrive weeks late, unemployment numbers that miss the gig workers and the quiet layoffs. Oracles see the entire financial nervous system at once. Using graph neural networks evolved into hyperdimensional transformers, they model every connection. Which pension fund is leveraged against which ETF? Which startup's cash burn rate is about to ripple into a supplier chain in Shenzhen? Which regional bank's loan book is secretly correlated with a crypto collateral pool in Singapore? One 2025 experiment already proved it. Pre-2020 training data alone let the model reconstruct investor positions with surgical accuracy and forecast trading behavior during the March meltdown. In 2026, those same models run live, 24/7, on Oracle-scale cloud clusters and quantum accelerators that solve optimization problems classical computers would need centuries to touch. But economy is only half the story. The real power hits when oracles fuse financial data with the human layer. Multimodal AI ingests news cycles, X posts, Reddit threads, TikTok trends, even anonymized mobility data from phones and vehicles. It spots the invisible precursors to societal shifts. A sudden spike in despair keywords in specific zip codes weeks before protest permits spike. A quiet migration of remote workers out of coastal cities that predicts housing price fractures 6 months out. Political sentiment vectors that diverge from polling data because people lie to pollsters, but not to their keyboards at 2 a.m. In 2026, these oracles don't wait for events. They simulate them. Agentic systems, autonomous AI teams run what-if wars in parallel. What if a sovereign debt ceiling fight collides with an AI-driven labor shock? What if a heat dome fries data center cooling in Texas while quantum supply chain models show just-in-time inventory collapsing? They test millions of futures per minute, then flag the ones where probability flips from 11% to 67% overnight. That's the scary accuracy. Not 55% like old models. We're talking systems that have already demonstrated 8, 0, 90% hit rates on short-horizon events and controlled trials, and they're scaling. You want proof this isn't hype? Look at the infrastructure already live. Massive AI data center builds hundreds of gigawatts aren't just for chatbots. They're the compute backbone for these oracles. Companies like Oracle are pouring billions into AI-native databases and cloud fabrics, precisely so governments and hedge funds can run these real-time foresight engines. Quantum utility is arriving in 2026. Not full fault-tolerant machines yet, but hybrid quantum classical systems that slash simulation times for chaotic systems like global trade networks or climate economy feedback loops. Combine that with prediction market oracles where human bets and AI agents trade probability contracts on everything from election turnout to crop yields, and you get truth signals, purified by skin-in-the-game money and machine verification. The economic crashes these oracles will flag won't look like 2008 or 2020. They'll be weirder, faster. A flash correction, triggered by synchronized AI trading agents, all reading the same macro signal and exiting at once. A shadow banking cascade in decentralized finance that classical regulators can't even see until it's too late unless the oracles light it up weeks early. Or a productivity paradox, where AI capex hits 2% of GDP, unemployment ticks up quietly because white-collar roles evaporate faster than new ones form, and consumer demand craters in ways no one models today. Societal shifts hit even harder. Picture an oracle detecting a psychosocial freefall vector. Rising loneliness metrics, declining birth rates, spiking substance searches, all converging in Rust Belt metros and gig economy hubs. It doesn't just predict unrest. It gives policymakers granular levers. Redirect $X billion in retraining here. Or expect 18% higher civil disruption probability by Q4. Or it spots a migration supercycle driven by climate plus AI job polarization before the first caravan forms. These aren't sci-fi scenarios. The data streams already exist. The oracles just connect them faster and deeper than any human team ever could. Now here's the part that should keep you up at night, and also give you hope. The scary accuracy comes with a catch. These oracles excel at pattern recognition and correlation. They are less perfect at causality. They can tell you a fire sale is coming, but might not explain every why in human terms. That gap creates moral hazard. Governments and traders might lean too hard on the predictions, take bigger risks assuming the oracle will warn them, or worse, create self-fulfilling panics when an oracle's high-confidence alert leaks. Monoculture risk is real too. If too many funds and regulators run versions of the same base models, one flaw could amplify across the entire system like a digital herd stampede. Yet the alternative, flying blind, is worse. We've spent decades reacting to crashes after the fact. 2026 oracles flip the script to proactive defense. Central banks are already quietly testing model-informed regulation. Enterprises are embedding them in supply chain twins and financial planning stacks. Nations are racing towards sovereign AI oracles so they aren't dependent on foreign compute for their own survival forecasts. So what does this mean for you? By mid-2026, these oracles won't be locked in labs or trillion-dollar balance sheets. They'll start leaking into consumer tools, personalized economic risk dashboards in your banking app, career shift simulators that tell you which skills will be obsolete before the layoffs hit the news, even civic apps that show your city's fragility score to the next black swan weather or policy shock. The age of surprise is ending. The age of calculated foresight is beginning. The machines aren't replacing human judgment. They're giving it superpowers. But only if we use them wisely, pairing their raw predictive muscle with old-school economic theory, ethics boards, and transparency. The oracles are live. They're watching the same world you are, only they see the threads before they snap. They're forecasting the next crash, the next migration wave, the next cultural tipping point, not because they're magic, but because they finally have the data, the compute, and the architecture to make sense of the chaos. The question isn't whether they'll be right, it's whether we'll listen when they speak. And in 2026, they're about to start shouting, what future do you want them to help us build? Drop it in the comments. If this hit you like it hit me, smash that like button, share it with someone who still thinks the future is unpredictable, and subscribe, because next week we're going deeper into how to position yourself and your business before the oracles make their next call. The whispers just got louder. Stay ahead of them.